take a ferry from Florida to Havana? It could just be a matter of time now that the U.S. government has given its approval to 2 companies to provide such a service. Havana Ferry Partners of Fort Lauderdale was approved 5 years after applying for a license. It hopes to launch ferry service between Key West and Havana within weeks, possibly with a 125 to 150 passenger vessel. Baja Ferries of Miami was also approved for a Cuba ferry. It wants to launch overnight service to Cuba possibly 3 times a week and has held meetings with Port Everglades, Port Manatee, and other Florida seaports to talk about possible departure points. At least 5 companies have applied for licenses to operate ferry services between Florida and Cuba, something that hasn't happened in 50 years since the U.S. imposed an embargo on the communist-led island nation. Any ferry service that did start would have to comply with restrictions that were put in place after the Obama administration announced a new Cuba policy. The ferries can carry authorized U.S. travelers to Cuba, including people in 12 categories, including family visits, religious and educational activities, among others, who no longer need a license in advance to visit. Americans are still not allowed to travel to Cuba for tourism under the terms of the U.S. embargo on Cuba that remains in place.